Hello and welcome to the penultimate weekend of racing in the GT Cup Championship 2019. We're bringing you all the action from Donington as the battle for those all-important wins intensifies. And as always, there's a great mix of cars on the grid.
Beautiful blue skies here at Donington Park for the 6th meeting of the 2019 GT Cup Championship, and we kick off the action with the sprint race. On the front row it's Sam Neary and John Seal. Row 2 is Graham Tilley and James Webb. Third row, Jim Geddy and Graham DeZille with Tom Barrow and Josh Jackson on the fourth row. Row 5 sees John Whitehouse line up alongside James Guess. Onto the 6th row, and it's Top Cats Racing have got Jensen Lunn at the wheel this weekend with Richard Marsh alongside him. Chris Murphy and Brent Millage on the 7th row. 8th row, Ron Johnson and Fraser Smart. And on row 9 sees Jesper Henriksen and David Frankland. So we're about to get this race underway, and it is the young Sam Neary that has that pole position and that beautiful, monstrous Mercedes. Dad on the pit wall watching him. He'll be taking over or sharing the action, should I say, in the pit stop races. In peels the safety car. It's about time to go racing, and it's look at them bucking their way down this start-finish straight, and off we go. And Sam Neary's trying to make sure that the power of that Mercedes really comes into its own, and he does. Slightly washes away from the apex a little bit there, but John Seal knew that was coming. There's a new addition to this grid as well. It's Jim Geddy at the wheel of the new this year, brand new to him actually, first time out in the car here this weekend in the Super Trofeo, so the brand new version. You can see the slightly older car just behind it, sort of giving him a good run for his money is James Webb in that number 13, the blue Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Such a beautiful sight, this whole field of GT Cup cars making their way down the Craner Curbs. Now they're rising back up again, and there's the big coming under pressure. There is Graham Tilley, already that big Nissan Nismo GTR. He's still getting to grips with that car, with Will Tregurtha helping him out again here this weekend. And he's got the two Lamborghinis in close attention already. No one's in close attention to our leader at the moment. Cracking job by Sam Neary. He's made the break for it. John Seal has also made his own break away from the rest of the field as well. So still the number 55 car, John, doing a cracking job this year in that car. And the two Lamborghinis hounding down Graham Tilley in the Tech-Serve Nissan, the number 6 car, down the start-finish straight. Jim Geddy filling up his mirrors. First one side, then the next. He looks up the inside as we come into the first corner. Snap, he goes straight across his nose. He's not having any of that. Graham Tilley made sure that Lamborghini was going to sit back. We have a replay here, and it is side by side. Oh, and it's the number 44, the car that had been leading the championship. John Whitehouse at the wheel of 44, just jumping across the curbs there, but thankfully Jensen Lunn probably knew that was coming there, kept out of the way. And we've got a switch here, and that was just a loss of power as he came out of the chicane onto the start-finish straight by the looks of it for Jim Geddy. And now the older version of the Lamborghini, the GTC version of the car, is down the start-finish straight, and he sweeps across the nose to take the lead of... he was already in the lead of GTC, but he's just got past the Jim Geddy car. Remember, Jim still getting used to this car as they sweep their way down through the Craner Curves. And that moves him up just one more position up into 4th place as it stands at the moment. There's Josh is the driver for today. Josh Jackson today. Simon Orange is going to be joining him on the Sunday to continue their assault on that. The GTH title that they're desperately trying to do, possibly even higher than that, who knows. But this is talking of GTH, here's the battle. Last year's champion, 72, Chris Murphy, and Brent Millage. He says he's not massively a fan of this circuit. The Craner Curves really does sort of shake it up. Remember, it was new for him this year, the Porsche. Last time we were here at Donington Park, he was still in the Ginetta. That was Jensen Lunn in the Marcus. 2 Aston Martin side by side. Great to see the Speedworks car. Ron Johnson at the wheel of that number 32. But Chris Murphy dives through. And look at this. We've now got all that battling going on. It's been joined by the faster cars that are trying to side their way through. And the one who's done a cracking job there, Graham Tilley, he's managed to sort of almost belie the size of that car and cut through it, as though he was just not just a hot knife through butter, but also a tiny little car sweeping his way through. But great job there. edge a little bit wide there from Sam Neary, but just shows that he's pushing hard. Talking of pushing hard, Graham Tilley's now right up on the back of the John Seal 55 Lamborghini. That's what happened in that lappery, and equally the two Lamborghinis are back together, and they're just encountering the Marcus. Jensen Lund, first time behind the wheel of this car. He doesn't know which way to go, and there's just a little bit of contact there as Jim Geddes just tried to take advantage of the situation, just tipped him into a bit of a spin there, and he stopped on the outside of the circuit. Hopefully he can get that going again. Just wait and see if he can get a bit of a belch of... and there's the red flag as the just a bit of flame come belching out the back of that. I think that's just where they have to go through the restart. Yeah, look at that, typical. The car's got going again now, but the red flag came out, and so we're going to have a sprint version of the sprint race. So here we go. It is still at the front. Sam Neary, John Seal, Graham Tilley, and there you've got James Webb in the number 13, the blue Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And just behind that, you see the Ferrari with the Dayglow yellow flashes. That means that is Graham DeZille in the FF Corsa Ferrari. The only one, because Lucky Christopher has hurt his foot. Get well soon, sir. And great to see next to Graham DeZille is return for the Saxon Motorsport BMW 150 GTR as well. Tom Barrow at the wheel of that car. And he's now, in fact, that's the fight for the lead between Tom Barrow, and just behind is Jensen Lund in his first time out in this Marcus. So that is for the lead of GTB as they come down through the Craner curves. And that means that if you see the blue car, the blue Lamborghini of James Webb, that's leading GTC with just behind Graham DeZille, the Ferrari with the Dayglow yellow flashes. So that is a fight for the group honours there. Who's this coming through there? It's the 21, Josh Jackson. He's leading GTH as it stands at the moment, but you've got a whole gaggle of GTH cars just behind. There's the GTA leader as well, the number 8 BMW, Jeff Steele Racing, Richard Marsh at the wheel of that one. There is number 20, as I say, the great return there for Saxon Motorsport. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of them. Down they come towards the chicane again, the Roberts chicane onto the Wheatcroft straight for yet another lap, and it's another lap where Sam Neary is leading the way. As look at all the GTH cars line astern there, so we kind of got them teaming up somewhat here on the main, but this is the GTC car of James Webb. He's getting involved, as the Webbs always do, with the GTO cars. They just love the David and Goliath thing, and he's desperately trying to find a way to get past Graham Tilley, but Graham Tilley's not going to make that easy as they're finding more and more power from that car, more and more drivability from that car, as well as Graham himself getting used to that car. Look at this GTH fight. It's a little bit further down the order in the GTH, but Chris Murphy, last year's champion, and Brent Millage in the Porsche just behind him, but the Aston Martin has the nod as it stands at the moment. This is also a fight in GTH, the 82 car, a great addition, Feathers Motorsport, James Guess at the wheel of that one, and he's got the car that sort of arrived at the last round as a championship leader, but had bad luck and so lost that lead to the Webbs as we arrive here this weekend. This is a great battle for GTB. Up they go, and it's the Jensen Lund is just doing an incredible job. The first time out in this Marcus, and I'm totally different to anything. He's been off, I think it's like 5 years or something like that since he last raced. But here comes our leader down towards the checkered flag, and it's a great victory for Sam Neary. A fantastic job there, and he had to win that twice. And Graham Tilley's still having to hold off the attentions of the GTC leader. James Webb doesn't need to do this, but he's a racer. He loves to do it. John Seal comes home in second. Then it's Graham Tilley. James Webb comes home just behind Graham Tilley, but takes GTC honours. So there we see Sam Neary, John Seal, Graham Tilley, the top three, and their GTOs. James Webb and Graham DeZille, fourth and fifth and GTC leaders. Jensen Lund takes GTB. Josh Jackson, 8th overall and GTH winner. Richard Marsh, 10th, and he takes the GTA honours. A fantastic performance by all of those guys. John Whitehouse, Chris Murphy, Brent Millage, Fraser Smart, David Franklin and Jesper Henriksen. It looked exciting from our side. Let's hear what the drivers have to say on the podium.
Yeah, it was a 6-minute sprint, so I just pushed as hard as I could to try and at least set a fastest lap, which I think I managed, so I was happy with that.
Some of the toughest overtaking was the traffic. There was plenty to keep me occupied, but two good starts, but unfortunately kind of got shoved off on the second one and a bit of contact in the first. But yeah, good close racing, and glad to get off to a winning start.
We're a little way behind with the McLaren, so as many points as we can get is the goal. So you know, it was good. We pulled away in the beginning, which was nice, and then the red flag I hoped it wasn't going to restart, but wasn't so lucky. So no, we've still got the win, so it's all good.
But we got up in front of some of the GTH cars, so this is my local track. I know it like the back of my hand, so.
Grids based on their fastest laps in that sprint race, so it is. On the front row, Richard Neary is joined by James Webb. Second row, Graham Tilley and John Seal. Row 3, Jim Geddy and Graham DeZille. Fourth row, Tom Barrow, Jensen Lunn. And on row 5, it's Josh Jackson and Steve Ruston. James Guess and Gareth Howell on the 6th row, with Brent Millage and Chris Murphy on row 7. 8th row, David Frankland and James Simons. And row 9 is Jasper Henriksen and Ron Johnson. So it is a 50-minute race with a pit stop in the middle. Those with 2 drivers will be changing over. The names I gave are the ones that are starting this time round. And the safety car gets ready to peel off into the pits. There it goes, and it's now Dad Richard Neary that has got that pole position, and he's determined to make it count. And he's got James Webb, who's doing the whole thing on his own today. His brother Tom will do the whole thing tomorrow. But Richard Neary, round the first corner he goes. Redgate gets very busy on this first lap. 3 into 1 doesn't often go, does it? But somehow they've made it through there safely. And there's a shuffle up that's gone on there, because it looks like there's telltale signs in the background, and the 2 green cars a little bit further afield than we'd expect them to be. So something's happened just out of our view there, and they're sat there. What was that? Probably about sort of 5th and 6th place there for John Seal and Richard Neary at the moment. So it's James Webb has the lead from Graham Tilley in that number 6 Nissan, just behind Jim Geddy in the number 78 ABG Motorsport Lamborghini. And Richard Neary just runs wide as he goes up the hill, and he's just sort of taming that bucking Bronco to get it back on, and he's done it. That was the exit of McLean's heading in towards Coppice, and he's back in the pack now, and he's got to work his way through this big grid of sort of GTB, GTH and GTA cars further back there. But the big GTO is going to hope that he can get through it like a hot knife through butter, through past the GTB. Oh my goodness, and he's just lunged past 2 in quick succession there. That was the GTH car, number 21 of Josh Jackson. He's doing the whole thing on his own as well. I think it's the first time that he's done that. Graham DeZille is now up the inside, so he was a little bit out of position as well, to be honest, wasn't he? So he's got caught up in the early stages by the looks of it as well. He said it looked quite tight into Redgate, let alone when they got to Hollywood and the Craners. Talking of Craners, down the bottom there is Jim Geddy trying desperately to reel in the fellow GTO car of Graham Tilley ahead of him. He'll be handing that car to Will Tregurtha in this race. Same as Jim Geddy will be heading over to Glyn Geddy. So we've got some pretty impressive pros that come out to play in this one. And there we see that Richard Neary, he's managed to get past the BMW. Tom Barrow started that Saxon Motorsport BMW. I said earlier, so good to see that one back out again. It sort of made an appearance early in the year, and it's back out again now. Very different to the BMW we just saw behind it. But there is James Webb still in the lead as it stands at the moment. Graham Tilley under growing pressure now from Jim Geddy. Remember, this is the first time they've been out in this Lamborghini Super Trofeo car, so Jim is really getting to grips with that before taking it over to Dubai. Ooh, the beautiful Golf liveried Stanbridge Motorsport Lotus Evora. James Simons at the wheel of that one, and he was under growing pressure there from David Franklin. 911, he's got the inside line heading down towards the Roberts chicane. He'll have the inside as he gets there, so he'll be hoping to take advantage of that. Now these 2 green cars are working their way through. They're past Graham DeZille. Down the crane of curves they flash, and trying to get even further ahead. And David Franklin did make that move stick, so he has managed to get that GTB car ahead of the GTA car of James Simons, who's now under pressure from Chris Murphy, the GTH car. I've said it time and time again, it doesn't matter about the groups, they fight with each other no matter what, and that's what we like to see. We want to see the racing, and they are racers by nature. But a great gaggle, the white Ginetta there as well of Jasper Henriksen, and that's the number 57 car. He's under growing pressure there from the Speedworks. Ron Johnson at the wheel of that one as well, that Aston Martin. Look at this, the 2 of them are back together. They might not be in their usual place at the front of the field as it stands, but they still managed to find each other. John Seal, number 55, desperately trying to keep the ABBA Racing Mercedes, number 80, behind him. Richard Neary at the wheel at the moment before handing over to his son a little bit later. He's looking towards the inside as he gets towards Redgate. He's got that up the inside. That's a late move, and there's a little bit of contact there. Thankfully, looking at the side, there's no damage, but it just tipped John Seal round there onto the grass. Richard Neary manages to carry on, so thankfully looks like that car's okay. And the good news is, as I was hoping, John Seals is as well. You can see there's not any telltale signs of damage there, so he's got that back on, so hopefully he'll be able to work his way through. And let's not lose sight of the fact that he's going to be handing that over to a certain Jamie Stanley later as well. So it's going to be great watching that car come through. I know John won't be happy that he's going to be further down, but it does provide some awesome entertainment, as do these guys coming down through the Craner curve. Jensen Lund really taken to this Marcus. It's like a duck to water, but he's under massive pressure by the number 44, Steve Ruston, at the wheel of that McLaren as it stands at the moment. Number 20, Tom Barrow. He'll be handing it over to Nick Barrow at the pit stop, and he's up over McLean's, and he's making his way towards Coppice now. And it looks like he's kind of got himself into a nice little comfortable no man's land at the moment. The Marcus hasn't, though, has he? Because he's still got Steve Ruston, number 44, all over the back of him as they round the corner together. And was that just in the background, the Team Hard Janetta as well of Josh Jackson. But here's John Seal through Robert Chicane onto the start-finish straight for another lap. Here he comes across, as we now see Simons just, that looked to me as though he pretty much moved out of the way of the GTH Jasper Henriksen Janetta there. So I think he's sort of, they're still developing that car. It's been very challenging in the early stages, and they're getting quicker and quicker and more reliable, and hopefully that's not the commentator's curse, but they've been working so hard out on that car, and it's great to see. Fraser Smart will be jumping into that a little bit later, but there is the GTH car, the McLaren, the red and white McLaren, that's trying desperately to, I'm sure he was flashing his lights there to see if he could put the driver off in front of him. Not sure about that. And it's Howell that's at the wheel of the number 8 car this time. So Gareth Howell starting. Richard Marsh won the sprint race earlier, and he'll jump in the car at the pit stops. But still the McLaren, that definitely, I had a suspicion this would happen. The 21 car, the Team Hard Janetta of Josh Jackson, doing the whole thing on his own. He is now closing on the GTH car ahead of him, the McLaren, and just running a little bit wide there. I wonder whether just unsighted there by the back marker in front of him, Richard Neary just kicks up a bit of dust but doesn't spin. Oh my word, that was close, as Gareth Howell throws that through the Roberts chicane, but scything up the inside there goes the number 3 Jensen Lund in the Top Cats Racing Marcus Mantis. Just so good to see those cars out there. Such a historic GT car that is, and it'll be Warren Gilbert jumping in, the team boss that will actually be jumping in at the pit stops this time round. Good to see Warren back out behind the wheel again. David Franklin under growing pressure there from the number 20 car, and I was just about to say he's just keeping out of the way. He was doing a great job of keeping out of the way, but he just kept out of the way a bit too much and just pirouettes it round. Such a shame. He was doing the right thing there, and it just swept him back out as he got onto the marbles. Hopefully he'll get that one back underway again. And look at this, Richard Neary is now onto the tailcoat of the race leader, James Webb, number 13, that Lamborghini Super Trifecta. That's how hard not James, we know James was working hard, but Richard Neary is just really absolutely flat out kicking up the dust as he exited onto the Wheatcroft straight there, round Redgate towards Hollywood. Is he going to get the power down up the inside of Hollywood? Not quite there, because James Webb's not going to give it up. The pit stops have started. Now this is interesting. This is going to be Dan Dezil jumping into that Ferrari, the number 19 FF Corsa Ferrari. In comes 57, the HSC Motorsport, Jasper Henriksen doing it all on his own. And there is another car that's new to us this weekend, Feathers Motorsport. James Hilliard will be jumping into that one. Out goes Dan Dezil in 19. And there is the number 78 car. Jim Geddes handed that over to Glyn Geddy now, as Dan Dezil comes out behind him, but that's a GTC versus a GTO. And there is Sam Neary, as you can see from the sticker on the back there, is jumping into that car. And so Dad hands it over to son. Ooh, that got a little bit up close and personal there, as they were both released into the pits at the same time. But thankfully, the James Hilliard, the number 82 Feathers Motorsport car, was able to just kind of keep it clear of Warren Gilbert. Warren Gilbert will be trying to side that car through the field, as will Sam Neary now as we come out. Remember, this number 6 car, Graham Tilley, he's going to be handing that over to Will Tregurtha as well. And this second part of the race just gets so enthralling, to say the least. And that's a big lock up, a big lunge up to get past one of the back markers, the number 32 car. Probably didn't know which way to go, but Ron Johnson just kind of kept himself clean, and the Texerv Nissan just kind of got it levelled up and thankfully missed everybody. In comes James Webb. He's not handing over to anyone, he's doing the whole thing on his own. But Sam Neary, he's had the rest for the first half of the race. Now he's back out there for this second half. and he's got nowhere to really go, so he's kind of following the Saxon Motorsport BMW through to get past the Stanbridge Motorsport Lotus Evora, and then he'll be making a move. Out goes the Lamborghini Super Trofeo number 13 of James Webb. And just kind of, you can see that it sort of needs to work itself out somewhat, because he's rejoined the circuit behind Chris Murphy, number 72, last year's champion. And that's probably sort of ready to lap him again, because of course that is a very quick GTC car coming down to make a move on that. That'll now be Fraser Smart at the wheel of that one, and there goes Will Tregurtha, or I think it's Will Tregurtha at the wheel now, and he just gets the power down. Wow, as he went exited Old Hairpin there, and he's got himself past the James Webb number 13 car, and here comes number 80, this Mercedes, absolutely flying and determined to make sure Dad got it into the lead just about, but Son's now got to make sure he brings this home. Dan DeZille, you can see he has really got the foot down there to try and bring that one home. There's the GTA leader, Jeff Still Racing BMW, Richard Marsh at the wheel now after his great victory in the sprint. And here comes Glyn Geddy up the inside of the number 6 Nissan. He's been able to make that one stick. That's a great GTO battle there as they head towards the Craner curves. A very fast part, and they've got another back marker. The Geddys don't like back markers in the Craner curves there, do they? But thankfully this time it all worked out okay, and that car is flying. It really is a battle of the pros out here at the moment. Remember that Nissan still getting used to things. And there is the B car number 3, Warren Gilbert at the wheel now, sides up the inside of Josh Jackson. That GTH car that he's doing the whole stint on his own for the first time here this weekend. Ooh, a little bit wide there for Glyn Geddy, but nothing too untoward. And look at this, here comes Jamie Stanley. We knew this was going to happen. He's jumped in, he's now scything through as much as he possibly can. But is he going to be able to have enough race left to get any further? He's up past the number 6 car, so he's got himself up into, what's that going to be? He's up into 3rd place, yeah, because Glyn Geddy in 2nd, the Mercedes still in the lead. So Jamie Stanley up into 3rd place on the road on this great fight back. Incredible lap times that he's putting in. And how high can he go? We're getting close towards the end of this race, but Sam Neary's under no pressure other than making sure he dispatches with these back markers. That was one that he just went up the inside of there. David Franklin did a good job again to stay out of the way. There's the checkered flag, a great victory for Sam Neary, flashes his lights, an awesome job, and he really they had so much work to do and he did it. So Richard and Sam Neary take the victory just ahead of John Searle and Jamie Stanley, managed to get up to 2nd place in the end. The Geddy's in 3rd place in number 78, and Tillian and Tregurtha in 4th place. GTC goes to James Webb. Jensen Lunn takes GTB with Warren Gilbert. GTH goes to Josh Jackson in 8th overall. And 11th and the GTA winner is Richard Marsh and Gareth Howe. Fantastic job. So let's hear from the drivers on the podium.
We're targeting a 50% of the race each, and they called me at the 25th minute, and I said, just one more lap.
It's a bit of radio, so I didn't actually know where I was, so I was just sort of trying to push every lap with the car I got given, which wasn't the best, obviously. But apart from that, yeah, it was a really good race.
I was enjoying the open road, but it was eventually closed down, so yeah, the car was going well. Felt really good in the first stint, and then yeah, I did the whole lot rather than these wimps. So
I haven't been in the car since April. I've teamed up with Jensen. He hasn't raced for 4 years and did the sprint race and got a fantastic 2nd and just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. He gave me a superb car, looked after it, and we just managed to catch the BMW and get the win. Fantastic.
Beginning of the race was tough. The McLaren kept us honest with their new tyres, but yeah, we managed to get the win.
Joining us this weekend in preparation for a full season next year with the Top Cats team is seasoned racer Jensen Lunn.
Coming out of retirement, yeah, I've been out of the game for about 4 years. Done British GT, done Britcar, done lots of endurance stuff, Token as well. But yeah, I've met up with Warren, wanted to get back into it, and here we are. So it's been great so far. Great weekend, first weekend back, and we've had 2 wins. So it's been good. Yeah, been good. I'm used to more driver aids, if I'm honest. This is rough and ready. It's a big go-kart with a 5-litre engine. These conditions today, especially in the wet, it's going to be really tricky. But yeah, I'm coming to terms with it, and I'm able to use Warren's data because he's driven the car for a long time. So use Warren's data has been really helpful. But it's good fun. It's good fun. Yeah. Top Cats guys have been great. All of them have welcomed me, and they don't know me, but they've been really good. And they've not, we've shared all the data throughout. I was 10 seconds off Warren at the start of testing. I'm within a second now. So in my first weekend, I'm really pleased with that. So next year, a full championship with these guys is really where I'm going. So yeah, they're good.
Very different weather today, which made for some tricky tyre choices.
Started on wets and I thought it was drying, so I made the call for slicks, and it just wasn't slicks. I turned into the old hairpin and had a complete opposite movement, so pit straight away for wets, and I went faster again. So yeah, really good qualified session, and I'm really happy with my lap. If it stays how it was then, we'll start on wets and see how it progresses throughout the day. There was quite a bit of oil down, which made the wets better because the slicks just wouldn't grip to the oil. So we could pit for slicks in the 25-minute, but it would be a gamble, definitely.
Well, just before the sprint race, the heavens absolutely opened, provided a very wet track for the start of the race. So it got less tricky on the decision of tyres, but it got even harder to see where you were going, let alone trying to keep it on the tarmac. As our leader found out, Sam Neary just spinning it around on the first corner, managing to keep it just enough out of the gravel to get going. But by the time we got up to McLean's, John Seal and the white Ginetta of Jasper Henriksen, they went off. And then Sam Neary, I think he came over to make sure that John Seal was okay. So sadly, the red flag came out and they were going to have to take the start again. But the number 80 car was going to be starting in the pits. So Sam Neary decided to tweak what he was going to do. Into the pits he came. And down they came for this restart. Now, of course, in these conditions, you've got to say that it's probably going to favour the less powerful cars. And look at that, Dan DeZille. He's making sure that he's taken advantage of that as much as he possibly can, as he takes that number 19 Ferrari all the way up into the lead. A fantastic start up the inside. And it looks like we've got the 78 car of Jim Geddy just tucked in behind him there as they disappeared down those very, very wet Craner curves. Look at the rooster tails coming off the back of those cars, and the front two already starting to scamper away. You can see the big GTO Lamborghini Huracan of John Seal sort of just trying to keep it on the tarmac. All of them really not able to apply the power as much as they would like to, so the GTO cars are really going to struggle out here today. But already you can see that Dan DeZille is just scampering off into the distance. Jim Geddy is doing a great job there as well in the number 78 car. He's sort of still getting used to this car, allegedly. Brand new to him this year, but you can see he's really, I was going to say taking it like a duck to water, but I think that would be inappropriate in these conditions, so we won't. But look at how all of the GTH and the GTB cars, they're harrying some of the GTO cars in these conditions. Very dark and gloomy, and big rooster tails down past the exhibition, or along the exhibition straight there. And you can see that Graham Tilley, remember that big number 6 Nissan, when we had the heavy rain at Brands Hatch, that was apparently wheel spinning in 6th gear in the countryside. I suspect it's going to be doing the same as he comes down the start-finish straight. Look at that, trying to make a challenge on Simon Orange in the number 21 GTH Ginetta. So the Team Hard car is sort of really doing a giant killing act. There we've got the number 20 BMW of Tom Barrow trying to keep behind him the James Hilliard number 82 Ginetta, but they're having a great fight there, and that's a Class B GTB car just ahead of the GTH Ginetta of James Hilliard. Down they go, and ahead of them they've got the GTH car number 44 Steve Rust at the wheel of that one as Dan DeZille. Look at the gap he's already got. That was round McLean's, as just coming up Schwantz curves comes the 3rd and 4th place cars, the pair of Lamborghinis, different groups, the GTO Lamborghini Huracan GT3 car of John Seal compared to the Super Trofeo GTC Challenge car of Tom Webb today, out in that number 13 car this time. And they make their way round Coppice, ready to come down Exhibition Straight towards Robert Chicane to complete another lap. Lights ablaze there from both of these two, and it looks like Tom Webb, you can see that he's having to sort of just pop out just so that they can get any kind of visibility. You can't sit behind the cars in these conditions, because otherwise you are just sort of losing all of your view as we come down again to complete yet another lap. This time Tom Webb's actually proven me a fibber there, and he's sat right in the slipstream. Now he pulls out, as much to see as it is to see if he can have a lunge. Not possible this time round, so tucks himself back onto the racing line. Oh, and John Seal onto the painted curbs there. That could have been tricky, but he did a great job. Oh no, and it looks like the Marcus Mantis, sadly, Warren Gilbert, is he's just put that in, and he's been joined by the white Janetta. This could be bad news. This is up at McLean's, and is he going to be able to do it? Now there's the safety car, so it's had to control these. Look at those conditions. It's just getting worse and worse. Sadly, it took too long to get the cars out, and there was rivers at various parts, and so it went to the checkered flag under the safety car. Great win for Dan DeZille.
I was maybe lucky, maybe talent, who knows. Came in front, and from there it was just getting into nice rhythm, and I enjoyed it. Car was great, so yeah, just got my head down.
That was a race and a half, a last minute change, then there was something wrong with the car. Then I managed to get on the front row when everyone span off, and then we had to regrid. Then there was a safety car, I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I couldn't see a thing.
In the corner on the brakes handle's really nice. It's, you know, I mean, it's just a great car to drive, really. Just real great feedback, really well set up. I just think in these conditions, it doesn't matter what you're driving, even a boat, you're going to struggle, aren't you?
It's a great experience that we don't get to go out in those conditions very often, so it's really good for the learning curve. But it was, as everyone's saying, we couldn't see. The track was changing constantly, and it was getting worse and worse. But so we just took a plan to just get to the end.
Take the plunge indeed. Perfect words considering those conditions. But thankfully, the weather has improved for the 50-minute pit stop race. However, it is still a damp track, so they're going to need to be mindful. On the front row, it is the 19 Ferrari of Graham DeZille, and it should have been the Geddes alongside, but sadly that car is not there. Second row, John Seal and Tom Webb, Richard Neary, Graham Tilley on row 3, John Whitehouse and Josh Jackson on the fourth row. Fifth row, Brent Millage and James Hilliard. On the sixth row, we've got Tom Barrow in number 20 BMW 150 and Gareth Howell alongside him in the number 8 BMW. Row 7 is Warren Gilbert and David Franklin, and on the 8th row, Jasper Henriksen and Chris Murphy in the number 72 Whitebridge Motorsport Aston Martin. So, down for the rolling start for this 50-minute race, and you can see that Graham DeZille is going to have the inside line, but he's got the quicker cars now behind him and the conditions improving. What a cracking start there by Tom Webb. That GTC Lamborghini saw the gap left by the Geddes that he just didn't need to be asked twice. Straight through he goes and into the lead, and he's got the two green machines. Look at that, it's so tight round Redgate and Hollywood on the first lap for these guys, isn't it? But down the Craner curves, you can see it is still very wet out there, just nothing compared to what we had in the sprint race. Down towards Old Hairpin for the first time we go, and Tom Webb is going to have to withstand some serious pressure. First of all, John Seal in the number 55, the green Lamborghini GT3 car. And just behind him is then the number 80, Richard Neary at the wheel of that Mercedes GT3 car, the ABBA racing car. Just a beautiful sounding piece of kit, that. And he was going to have a look up the inside as they got towards Coppice, but John Seal was having none of that. He's desperately trying to find a way to get onto terms and past the Super Trofeo Lamborghini, the GTC car of Tom Webb. Oh, and I thought he'd got himself alongside, but actually it's the Mercedes that's going to go to the outside. Is he going to take both in one fell swoop? Oh, no, he's not. Into the Roberts chicane. He just finds a gap between the two cars, slots himself in, and then gets onto the start-finish straight. And he's going to have to try and do it again to get all the way up to the front. But a great move up into second, and he's already looking towards the outside as they get towards Redgate. But Tom Webb sees that one coming, moves to the outside, takes his racing line through Redgate in towards Hollywood, and they're going to go plunging down through the Craner curves. But that looked like a cracking exit there from Richard Neary. Down through the Craner curves he goes. You can see that speed. Has he been slightly compromised halfway down? Oh, I'm not sure. No, he's heading towards the inside up the inside at Old Hairpin. That was set up about 2 corners ago, but I thought it just gone for a Burton, but he's managed to make it work, and he's up into the lead. John Seal is not going to want Richard Neary to scamper away too much. He's desperately going to want to stay on terms with that Mercedes as much as he can, both for his sake and for Jamie Stanley, his teammate, once he jumps in. We saw how quick he was yesterday, Jamie Stanley. Oh, and there we go, John Seal, as they go towards Coppice. Has he got the inside line? Yes, he has. Through goes the GT3 version of the Lamborghini Huracan. And Tom Webb sits there still leading GTC, although look in the background there, Graham DeZille has shaken off the attentions of the other Graham Tilley, in the TechServe Nissan Nismo GT3. And he has not only done that, but he is reeling in the GTC leader. So that is a group battle, Tom Webb. So that could get interesting before the end of this race. And there is Graham Tilley sat there in what is third in GTO, albeit, was that fifth on the road. And the GTA car, the number 8 car, where did that one start? That started 12th. And Gareth Howell has got that right up there into, what's that going to be, 6th or 7th place now in that white BMW. They've done a fabulous job, Jeff Steele Racing. It shows that the conditions are still fairly tricky, and in fairness, you can see it there. Look, just as they come down through the Craner curves, you can see that suddenly it goes from damp looking to suddenly spray coming up and squirreling all over the place as he gets down towards the old hairpin. Was the Nissan. Graham Tilley now trying to get past the back marker. Gareth Howell's trying to take advantage of the confusion here, but thankfully the number 57 car just sort of tucks out of the way there. So great job by Jesper Henriksen to stay out of the way, but compromised Graham Tilley long enough. That means that number 8 BMW is now all over the back of Graham Tilley. But as we turn right at Coppice, you kind of expect that the power of that Nismo GTR Godzilla is going to suddenly scream away down the straight. But you can see that they're both struggling there on these conditions. It's a sort of a difficult call of knowing which way to go on these tyres. And down towards the Robert chicane, and you see Tilley did pull away from Gareth Howell as they went down the exhibition straight, but not necessarily by masses. So it goes to show how good that Jeff Steele BMW is. Great GTH battle there, because we've got the number 82 car, James Hilliard and James Guess, that will be taking over that. And at the moment we've got the number 44 McLaren there. John Whitehouse started that one, and he's making the move, so that's moving him up a place in the GTH battle as he gets more and more comfortable with these conditions around the outside. He's not got it done yet, has he? He's still trying to battle it all the way around the outside. Oh, a little bit of a love tap there, and I think that was probably that James Hilliard just ran a little bit wide in the number 82 car there. And there you go. John Whitehouse has got the move done now down through the Craner curves, but that was hard work, wasn't it, for the GTH Championship leader, and was the overall Championship leader before we left Brands Hatch at the last event. James Hilliard, it's good to see that number 82 car out here this weekend, the Feathers Motorsport Ginetta. And it looks to me as though already John Whitehouse is closing in. I thought, yeah, it is. There you go. The 21 car of who started the number 21 car. It was Josh Jackson that started that Team Hard Ginetta. And look at that, an incredible rate of knots that the McLaren has closed in there. That McLaren is loving these sort of in-between conditions. A lot of drivers tell you that they don't like it when it's neither one thing or the other. I think that fair play, that McLaren and John Whitehouse are. Graham Tilley and that Nissan still trying to iron out all the bits of issues as they make their way past the 911 Porsche of David Franklin, the GTB Championship leader. And still, I was wondering where the Nismo had gone, and he's run very wide there, Graham Tilley, but powered it back on again. They've had issues where they couldn't change in a straight line and all sorts of bits and pieces. It's been a very challenging weekend for them in that very, very powerful car, which doesn't really leave you a lot of room for error, does it? That does not look like that's up to full speed, and into the pits it comes. Now, is that for the routine pit stop, or is there an issue, or is it going to be both? And into the pits already. You saw the 19 Ferrari in the background there. Here it is. So Graham DeZille jumps out. Dan DeZille's going to jump in. This is interesting as well. John Seals just brought that 55 car in. That Graham Tilley car, the number 6, out has jumped Graham Tilley. In is going to be Will Tregertha. We're going to have Jamie Stanley in the 55 as well. And Dan DeZille, we saw how quick he is, especially in these conditions. Here he comes now in the 19, the GTC car that got the outright victory as well in the sprint race earlier today in those horrific conditions. He's out now to see whether it's bad enough out there for him to really be able to take advantage with that beautiful 488 Ferrari. In has come the number 20 car as well, so the BMW is going to change hands. Nick Barrow will be jumping into this one now. And they're going on to slicks now. You see how we're getting these sort of decisions needing to be made. Are they staying on the wets? Are they going on to the slicks? And it does look as though we're getting a mixed bag. Warren Gilbert's brought the car in, so Jensen Lund's going to be jumping into that one. And they had a feeling they'd had a puncture on one of those tyres, but better to be safe than sorry. There goes Dan DeZille up past the 44 McLaren. John Whitehouse that will be handing that one over to Steve Ruston for the concluding part of this race. And as you'd expect, the GTC car is able to get straight past there. Sam Neary now jumping into, taking over from his dad, Richard Neary. Tom Webb is in, but of course he's doing the whole race himself in at number 13. Out goes Sam now, getting some great seat time in that car, edging towards, really going full-time pro as a driver. And it's just very, very impressive to see this young man achieve so much in such a short space of time. And these conditions have been a great learning curve for him out there in a very powerful car in very difficult conditions. There goes a wheel, and that is the number 6 car. Will Tregurtha had taken over that car, and that wheel's come flying off there. Some kind of failure by the looks of it. Thankfully, it's safely just into the gravel. Well, that's going to put pay to that car. That is a shame, as they were really trying to iron out all sorts of issues. Nice 4-wheel drift there from the number 82 car as it went up round McLean's in towards Coppice. Now still 4-wheel drifting by the looks of it. The Jeff Steele BMW, round it comes again. I'm not sure whether that one's stopped or not yet, but if it hasn't, then it's still Gareth Howe behind the wheel of that one at the moment, who's been doing a real giant killing out. Brent Millage just getting lapped by our leader there. Brent Millage has been doing the rain dance. I think it's his fault we've got the rain this time, because he really is loving that car in these conditions. The Saxon Motorsport, a bit of a wobble there from the Saxon Motorsport car. Number 20, Nick Barrow at the wheel now of that one to try and bring it home, see what they can do in GTB as Tom Webb gets up past the white number 57 Jesper Henriksson, HHC Motorsport run Ginetta, and no real issue there, as you'd expect. The GTH car not going to be able to do a lot against the Webbs and their GTC Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. This is the GTB battle here then, so it is Jensen Lund, that's at the wheel of the number 3 Marcus, but it looks to me as though that BMW is got the inside line. Is he going to really rough it out at the inside, squirreling under the brakes, throws it up? What a fantastic lunge that was, just about keeping it within track limits as well. How on earth did he do that? It was like riding a bucking bronco all the way down in towards the Roberts chicane, but a great job by Nick Barrow, moving that number 20 BMW up into the lead of GTB, but I'm not sure that Jensen has quite finished with that one. The number 3 car, Jensen Lund, has been having a great weekend. First time in that car, ready for a full season as we heard earlier, and he's looking very promising. And you'll see, as our leader gets past the Nick Barrow number 20 BMW, you see that he's managed to pull away from that Marcus in the background. So great job there. This is for GTC. So Dan DeZille has reeled in Tom Webb quite dramatically here as we get towards the sort of the sharp end of this race. Is he going to be able to make a move? This is for the lead in the group. And they've got just ahead of them the Josh Jackson. That'll be Simon Orange at the wheel of number 21 now. So it is going to be mighty, mighty close as we come through to the dying moments of this. The sun is going down. It's almost like a night race here in these conditions with the dark clouds we've had overhead. Down through to Old Hairpin we go. Dan DeZille desperate to try and find a way up into the lead of GTC. Is he going to be able to do enough? It's actually 3rd and 4th on the road overall as well. First overall on the road is, of course, this GTO, this fabulous number 80 Mercedes GT3, the Aber Racing. Here he comes now. He's going to take the checkered flag, and it is another victory for the Neary. Sam Neary brings that one home. They had to fight a little bit harder for that one, but look at this, all the way towards the flag. Looking up the inside is Dan. Oh, no, he's thought better of it into the Roberts chicane. It's the last chance. He's going to try and get the run through the chicane onto the Wheatcroft straight, and he's going to come out of that. They're now running side by side. They're splitting either side of Chris Murphy and Aston Martin. They cross the line, and it's just Tom Webb that got that by, would you believe, 0.039. What an incredible finish to that race. Absolutely belter. So Tom Webb just about holds on to take GTC honours. Wow, so it is Richard and Sam Neary that take the victory from John Searle and Jamie Stanley. Tom Webb holds on to 3rd and GTC honours, just ahead of the DeZilles. John Whitehouse and Steve Ruston take GTH. GTA goes to Gareth Howe and Richard Marsh, and GTB goes to Tom and Nick Barrow. An incredible performance by all of those guys, and we managed to get all bar one of the cars through to finish that. Sad to see the Nissan GTR Nismo just falling off with that wheel falling off, but what an incredible race. So as we head for the final event of the year at Snetterton, it is the Webbs that lead the way overall and GTC with 491 points, but only 3 points back for Steve Ruston and John Whitehouse, who lead GTH. John Searle, Jamie Stanley lead GTO in 4th place, and 6th place and leading GTB is the 911 car of David Frankland.
I was trying to creep away from John Searle without ruining my tyres. And then we decided I would just stay in the car and see which way they jumped. So they went to slicks. Then we stayed out 3 more laps to monitor their lap times versus what I could do on the wets. And there was a margin in it, which wasn't enough, I don't think. So the car was a safer car on wets, and we knew what we'd got.
Very fortunate we got the win. Very pleased as well. Puts us in the hunt for the championship still, so very pleased.
Yeah, Steve, so you got a bit of a dog to take over there then, probably, I'd imagine, handling.
No, not really, because we stuck brand new slicks on, so I just had to manage the little wet patches and a few other cars, but no, I just kept it clean and just kept going and going and going and going, and took Brent, as Brent came out, just took him in the red gate and then just pulled away.
I left it down to the wire there. I think I just lost all the tyre temperature out of the tyres and really struggled, and the team were just on the radio, you've got to go quicker, you've got to go quicker. So I was just trying to find a little bit more time without throwing myself off. But Desil drove fantastically, and he has all weekend in the way. I've got to say, I feel like he was the better driver.
Tom started on wets and then decided by the pit stop that it was probably slicks. So he put slicks on and I went out and had to cope with them, but it was good fun.
The racing's over, the trophies are about to be given out. That is it from Donington, from us. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. We've got one more meeting to go at Snetterton before the overall championship winners decided. We'll see you soon.